Perfect Turd Podcast episode 33. Lamar, what kind of god would give us these two movies?
Oh boy, Joe. That might be part of our discussion
Yes.
for these movies. But
Yep. It's our
we are
back to
doing
school special.
back to school. Yeah. Probably not the best time to have kids all together in the same place. But
It's better than them going to a school right next to a nuclear waste plant, Lamar.
like in Nuke Em High.
So we decided to compare the original Class of Nuke 'Em High, which is kind of a B-movie classic, I think, at this point, with, I guess you would call maybe a soft reboot, or not even a reboot. It really actually ties in with the original.
I would still say it's a soft reboot because that's the whole soft reboot kind of con game. Like, it's part of the story, but it's the same plot.
Well, the quick rundown of the original, and it goes to a very common Troma trope of the nuclear waste and the corporate, bad guys and stuff like that. So basically, a nuclear waste or nuclear power plant opens up near a school. Like a pipe breaks, nuclear waste is in the water supply, starts turning all the students, not all of them, but a bunch of them crazy and mutating. Like
and even die.
Yeah, people die.
Yeah.
The honors club turns into the Cretans.
In the movie The Cretans, they have a little side hustle going on where they sell weed that was growing around the toxic place. And that brings in our main characters.
Yeah.
There's a little couple and they smoke the weed and they start going bonkers.
And they have sex after they smoke the weed. And then she gets impregnated with a mutated sperm, I guess.
Something like that. Yes.
Something like that. Which she dumps off into the toilet at some point. Gets into the plumbing. Mutates into a monster in which they have to fight at the end. So that's the breakdown of that. Now, the breakdown of the more recent, which comes in 2 volumes.
Yes.
It's a little more insane.
Oh, boy.
I would say. You have the 2 characters. One is the lesbian. Well,
she's not lesbian yet. She has a really crappy boyfriend. Well, not even crappy. He's freaking psycho. I think he's supposed to be representative of like toxic, super weird masculinity. His name is Eugene. Fucking weird.
And then the new girl comes. She's the new rich girl.
Lauren, because it's Chrissy and Lauren. So
yeah. The overall premise is the same. You have the nuclear power plant. It's leaking the toxic waste into the Troma High School. Once again, instead of the honor students turning into the Cretans, you have the Glee Club turning into the Cretans, which I actually thought was a funny thing because they have they sing.
They sing beautifully while they kill people.
While they're killing people, so that was a cool thing. But how they tie into this is one of the main girls. She has a pet duck that gets lost. She goes to find it. The Cretans grab her and the duck, and they duck rape her.
And the duck was eating a little bit of the toxic waste.
Yes.
And when the duck is forced into her mouth, that leads to her getting pregnant with a duck humanoid baby.
Which in the end helps them.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't kill everybody like the other movie. So the duck does help. Yeah. Well, no, her duck gets mutated. The duck baby is just a little weird, cute duck.
Yeah.
And
her and the other girl, they actually develop a relationship, which leads us to plenty of lesbian sex scenes between these 2 movies. Plenty of nudity in general, I would say, in this movie.
Not just from them. And not just from women.
Right, from everybody.
Yeah, from everybody. Everybody's getting loose in this movie. It's wow.
A lot of fake penises in this movie.
Does Lloyd Kaufman have a thing about, is he saying something about men, or is it just he just likes the male genitalia?
I think he just finds it funny.
I think that's it too. Because it's like between the Eugene character and then all the penises are evil. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he had something to say.
Maybe. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's hard to say like the plot because the plot is all over.
Well, we can compare because the first one I feel like is just like its own movie.
Hmm.
Even though it has sequels, it has like, it has its plot, these two kids are in school, they're dealing with this nuclear thing. It's way more toned down compared to the new ones.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the new ones, they had that plot plus everything else: nudity, sexuality, satire, gore. Am I missing anything?
Not really. I mean, you pretty much
Religion.
nailed it.
There's some things
Religion.
about religion. They say
Um,
some things about CNN. So it's more of a satire
yeah.
for the newer ones.
I mean, for me, when I compare the two, I actually find the newer ones a little more ham-fisted in its approach.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like it's almost like reaching for the joke, where the original seemed like it was more cleverly done to me.
Yes.
Yeah, it was more simplistic. It was less over the top, but it's way easier just to follow it as a coherent thing. you know?
As a coherent thing, that's a very good observation. Definitely way more coherent than the newer ones.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, the other one, the original was made in 1986, so it was all practical effects. The newer one makes use of more CGI visual effects like that. And for me, as a fan of Troma stuff, it actually took away from it for me. I do
Okay.
like when Troma does the practical effects. It has more of a charm to it for me.
And I feel like too, when you go back to like the hand-fisted and everything, like it's almost like they had more stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't have enough substance to it. Because it's
Mm.
kind of like, well, let's make a joke about CNN. Let's make a joke about homosexuality. Let's make a joke about Jewish people. Let's make
Yeah.
a joke about, because they have the token black character.
Yeah.
So it's all these things, and it's never like just a
Yeah.
good old satire.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't have a focus. Like
yeah.
the original, the original does crazy stuff too. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
crazy, but it is more focused.
I'll say this: like I kind of appreciate how the span of Troma is like in between these two movies, because you have like the original one, and they were able to make this one where it's kind of like, because Troma makes fun of itself.
Yeah.
So I appreciate, because it was like a whole Kickstarter thing, that they can even make that. So to see them kind of grow to this point is
Mm-hmm.
cool. But then in
Yeah.
the movie, I was just trying to be like, okay, reference,
Yeah.
like
It's
as
just
a whole,
it's
Troma.
just a big melting pot of crazy ideas, right?
Yes, a huge melting pot of crazy. Because it's like it kept my interest, but it was just like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Wow,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely fun for what it is. I mean, when you watch a Troma movie, you watch it, you can't be too offended by anything because it's just their
Oh
thing.
God, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just baked into the cake. It's part of their thing.
I don't even think it's baked into the cake. It's a necessary ingredient
Yeah.
now, Joe. It
Yeah.
has to be there. Yeah.
I guess, are we going to rate both movies, or are we just going to pick which one you like better?
Okay, go ahead. Which one do you prefer?
I prefer the original, and in fact, if I was going to recommend one, I would still recommend the original to people. It's a coherent story that you can follow. The new one, to me, it's like an acquired taste. It's
Okay.
like some people are just not going to get it.
Do you go original? I would say this: it's a tie between the original and Volume One, because
Okay.
I feel like Volume One had too much stuff in it, and Volume Two, it was just like batshit crazy. It
Volume
just
2 is
went
off the rails
just
from what.
crazy. And if they would have just made it that one movie, because I felt like the original one, like there were certain jokes, it went a little too much,
Hmm.
but I would say it's a tie between both of them for me.
Okay.
For the original and Volume One, Volume Two is just like what?
Yeah. And there are other sequels from the original that were made back in the day, which we haven't
Yes.
seen
Yeah.
yet. So we might have to look into those someday too, so we get the whole thing here.
It's definitely a classic. The first one is a classic.
Yeah.
the first of the new one to me is a cool callback to it, and then the second one, if you have some time, is like a meme generator of just what the fuck, like it's just whoa. So
if you like B movies, you have to support a place like Troma. They've been on the forefront of B movies for what, 30 years? More than that, 40 years.
I would say close to 40 years. Yeah, and they have more stuff coming out. So
Yeah.
oh, because we did Mutant Blast, and that was
Mutant Blast was great.
Mutant Blast was awesome. I love that movie.
That's one of my favorite B movies ever.
Yeah, and the craziest thing is that Mutant Blast was crazy, but Return to Nuke 'Em High Volume 2 is even crazier.
Yeah, Mutant Blast was crazy, but it did have something that you can follow more easily. It had a direction that it was moving towards. Nuke 'Em High Volume 2 was just, like I said, an explosion of craziness, which is fun. But
So
yeah, cool. Well, back to school special, Perfect Turd Podcast, episode 33. Return to Nuke 'Em High and the original Nuke 'Em High.
Yes.
Peace.
Deuces.